All right, dudes and dudettes and otherwise, I've got some drama coming to you, hot and fresh from the Belgian national team. I realize that is a fairly regular source of drama. They've been banging each other's wives for a while or something. I don't know. I could never quite get it all straight. But this latest bit comes from Thibaut Courtois. I find this very, very interesting because, to be honest, as a fan of the United States national team, obviously, I have just been rescued from what I would consider a manager-induced pit of hell, and it seems as though Belgium has continued to spiral down into a manager-driven pit of hell, and that also is going to involve Thibaut Courtois. Now, Thibaut Courtois is not necessarily clean in this, right? He's had some part of the drama in particular with the Belgian national team. I know involves him. The who's and what's and how's and what's. I've no real idea because I just don't care enough to find out. But what I do know and do care enough about to research is that Thibaut Courtois is posted on his Instagram. I'm obviously going to go ahead and read this for you. And he's basically said that he is not going to play for Belgium again. The official post said, I want to address the fans, talks about his pride playing with the team and everything. But the key is this last paragraph. Unfortunately, following the events with the coach and after much reflection, I have decided not to return to the Belgian national team under his management. In this matter, I accept my share of responsibility. However, looking forward, my lack of confidence in him would not contribute to maintaining the necessary atmosphere of cordiality. I have watched international diplomats in my lifetime write something that was less diplomatic than this, that was less well-worded than this. Thibaut Courtois is essentially saying that his dislike and discordiality with the manager of Belgium, who's named Domenico Tedesco, if you did not know, is so bad that him just existing in the Belgian national team would create an atmosphere that makes Belgium worse, even though Thibaut Courtois has a huge net gain for the Belgian national team just by being there. He said, the federation with whom I have had several discussions accepts my position and the reasons that led me to this painful but coherent decision. I find that sentence really interesting. We're going to come back to it later. I regret possibly disappointing some fans, but I'm convinced that this is the best course of action for Belgium as it closes a debate and allows the team to focus on pursuing its goals. I am absolutely blown away that something like this could happen. We'll start just off the top. Thibaut Courtois is like the best goalkeeper in the world right now. I know he's coming back from an ACL, but I mean, Real Madrid is a budding, burgeoning super team. In 4 years, Thibaut Courtois has been producing goalkeeping performances of remarkable consistency and an incredibly high level. When you're a team like Belgium that has a couple of holes in your lineup, there's nothing that can erase the deficit that those holes in your lineup creates, quite like having just the best goalkeeper in the world. And so losing somebody like that, when you are very likely going to have a Kevin De Bruyne and a Romelu Lukaku final ride in the next World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada, that's massive. I mean, this is a huge loss for Belgium that, in my opinion, takes them from French dark horses to something akin to almost like an Austrian national team or something, right? A team that is just so firmly planted because the age of De Bruyne by the time they get to 26 and Lukaku's Lukaku-ness in major tournaments. I think this takes them to a level where they can't even dream of being able to win the tournament if you don't have Thibaut Courtois back there taking a goal away from the other team basically every match. I mean, sometimes it feels like that's what this guy is capable of. So this is just a massive bombshell. And the first time that I heard that Thibaut Courtois was leaving the Belgian national team, I figured it was just because of injury or age or time commitment. I mean, the first thing that I'd heard is that he hadn't been able to work himself back up to full fitness, even though he played a couple matches for Real Madrid at the end of the season, by the way, something called the Champions League final. Don't know if I've ever, it's probably not important, right? It's a stupid name, obviously. Why would anybody care about something called the Champions League final? But the coach, Domenico Tedesco, said, well, we've been doing our whole tournament prep with this other team, and we don't feel like Thibaut Courtois is fully fit for this tournament in the Euros. So Courtois wasn't at the Euros with Belgium. I figured that maybe he was kind of just riding off into the sunset, feeling that international play wasn't for him. And while that might be the case, he is explicitly blaming the manager for this problem, which is particularly awkward for the Belgian national team. And this is where it feels very reminiscent of maybe the situation the U.S. is kind of going through, and where Belgium is being actively made worse by the existence of the manager that they have right now. Because Domenico Tedesco managed to get Belgium out of the group stage at the Euros. He did not manage to do it in a way that was convincing at all. Of course, they lost in the round of 16 against France. This was an own goal in a match where, we all remember France at the tournament. They weren't doing anything. They didn't know how to score, but they were still good. But if we go to the group stage, you remember Belgium was in that group where everybody had 4 points, right? And it's, razor thin margins to get Belgium out of a group that, to be perfectly honest, just based off quality and world ranking and expectation and experience at the international level, Belgium should have been dog walking this group. They got the easiest draw in recorded human history and managed to escape it by the skin of their teeth, only to lose an uninspiring match to a team that, despite all of its talent, literally could not score a goal over the entire course of the tournament. And going in to that particular tournament, Domenico Tedesco was on a contract that would expire at the end of the tournament. It says so right here. Tedesco was appointed the manager of the Belgian national team on the 8th of February 2023 on a contract due to run until the end of Euro 2024. What's crazy is that at the end of the tournament, this is an article from July 7th that this is being pulled from here, he signed a 2-year contract extension. How? Why? Fucking why? Why did he get a 2-year contract extension? I don't get it. This is the same national team that employed Roberto Martinez for a while. And to be fair to Roberto Martinez, he was at least able to backdoor a World Cup semifinal out of nowhere. Like, he had something that he could hang on, you could hang his hat on. It had to involve a giant comeback against Japan to get there. But a World Cup semifinal is a World Cup semifinal, right? The United States made it in 1930, and I'm still bragging about it. Come on, boys. Go America. But seriously, nothing from this performance would have inspired me at all to say that Domenico Tedesco is supposed to be the Belgian manager going forward. I mean, he was able to manage to qualify Belgium for the tournament, and sure, they look good in qualifying, but in 4 matches where all the cards were on the table at the actual tournament, it didn't look like he was able to get anything going in the first place. And on top of all that, it seems like everybody was already aware of the fact that there is this sort of brooding war between Thibaut Courtois and Domenico Tedesco. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. We're talking about national team football here. All right, a manager at a club level is way more important than a manager at a national team level. I'm not saying that a manager at a national team level is not important. It still is. You got to be able to come up with the right team composition. Everybody seems to have a different philosophy about that. The tactics, the inspiring, the leading, all of that stuff, right? But if you are putting all the cards on the table and saying, keep Domenico Tedesco or keep Thibaut Courtois, I'm picking keep Thibaut Courtois in just a straight up debate before I even see what Domenico Tedesco was doing at the European Championships, which, look, losing to France is one thing. Really sputtering your way out of a group that you should be dominating with just 4 points, that's another thing, right? I don't think Domenico Tedesco should have had his contract renewed in the first place. Clearly, the Belgian FA sees something in him that I don't necessarily see from the outside as some dude just sitting in a chair in the middle of the night. But seriously, really, really surprised at the way all of this has gone down. And that brings me back to that one sentence in Thibaut Courtois' post announcing that he is not going to play for Belgium again, where he's talking about the federation that he has had discussions with accepts his position and the reasons that led him to this painful but coherent decision. Right, this means Thibaut Courtois, and I'm assuming his representatives as well, have had multiple conversations with the Belgian FA. In the Belgian FA, at least he's saying, has some sort of understanding of why Thibaut Courtois is leaving. If the Belgian FA understands and sympathizes with the reasons that Thibaut Courtois doesn't like Domenico Tedesco, why the fuck did they bring him back in the first place? If you're understanding the reasons why your best player, I mean, outside of Kevin De Bruyne, I'd say it is not a debate that Thibaut Courtois is their best player, right? Thibaut Courtois is very likely the best player at his position in the world. De Bruyne is probably the best player in his position in the world too. They need a better manager. It is kind of crazy a team like Belgium might arguably have 2 players that are the best at their position in the entire world. But that is, I guess it is actually kind of part of the point here. It boils down to the fact that I don't feel like this story makes a lot of sense. Either Thibaut Courtois is just making up the fact that the board even understands why he would want to leave, but if the board does understand why he would want to leave, then why would they give Domenico Tedesco a 2-year extension to get him through the World Cup in 2026? They basically just faced up with Thibaut Courtois and Domenico Tedesco, because I would be very surprised if he's making up meeting like with the FA in general, and they decided to go with Domenico Tedesco over Thibaut Courtois after what could be described as, at best, a lukewarm European Championship performance from Domenico Tedesco. So I don't know what they're doing. This is weird, and it's a shock retirement where I mean, at least the party line story was that he didn't play in the Euros because he was still not fully fit. I guess he didn't play in the Euros because the coach and Thibaut Courtois really hate each other, to the point that they apparently can't even sit in the same room and try and represent the country together. It's a weird situation.